Okay, so before we start, we would first like to pay our respects to our lecturer and say thank you to everyone for listening to our recording. We are the third group and our assignment is analyzing chapters 10 and 11. My name is Dara and I would like to start off by providing the contents to our presentation. We will be giving a summary of chapters 10 and 11, followed by pointing out the main points that can be drawn from both chapters, drawing out the connections from the story to real life, and last but not least, we will have a short vocabulary game using Kahoot. There are members of our group who will be presenting today, and these are the character models that we will be using throughout the story. Without further delay, let us start with a summary of Chapter 10. Chapter 10, while going to watch the approach of the monsoon at the Worley sea face, Harry has feelings of nostalgia, which means the feelings that he had when he was a child, when Mr. Panwala, the watchmender, had brought him some food which consisted of a green coconut and a paper cone filled with puffed rice. A monsoon struck the town, causing the streets to flood, drains to be clogged, and garbage to be poured into rivers. However, there were some positive points from the monsoon. It had washed away all of the heat, and the people who couldn't get to their workplaces were given holidays, as well as the children who couldn't make it to their school due to the flood. On the other hand, Harry and the boys working in Jagu's kitchen had to work overtime and had a lot of difficulties in preparing the food. On top of that, Mr. Panwala, Harry's greatest benefactor, had become ill. Later on, Harry had also become ill, but being the understanding and kind-hearted man that he is, Jagu had offered to take Harry to his home to treat him. However, after arriving at Jagu's home, Jagu got into an argument with a woman who we can presume is his wife, and this argument had caused Jagu to be infuriated and eventually left the house, leaving Harry behind with the woman. The woman had a talk with Harry, and eventually, the way that she talked reminded Harry of how he and Leela would speak back in Tol in a hut while waiting for their father to return. Even though that Jagu's family proved to be a bit dysfunctional, Harry was treated very kindly by Jagu and his wife, even though he was hesitant in accepting their hospitality at first. Harry had met the watchman who brought him to Jagu's restaurant. Once again, the watchman had told Harry that the people, the Silvers, that he had been looking for, have finally returned, and Harry was left to ponder at the opportunity which he had. It was whether to go work for the De Silvas or still work at his current job. Afterwards, Harry had heard the news of the monsoon getting worse and was told that it was at Aliba, which was very close to his home. Back at Tol, however, Biju was gloating about how successful his boat was, and even the watchman from the factory site had to admit how impressive it was. Meanwhile though, after having a talk with Hirabai, Leela has shown to be concerned about Harry's safety because she doesn't know where he is nor how he's doing. Okay, that does it about for the part in chapter 10. I would like to pass the summary of chapter 11 to Sinoun. Thank you very much.
Summary Chapter 11 The Village by the Sea. Mr. Pamela's comforted Harry, who wanted to go back to tour immediately. One day, when Harry heard that Mr. Pamela's was ill, he asked Jagu for a thermos so he could go to visit the sick old man who had the flu that had been getting worse. Jagu gave Mr. Pamela's address to Harry. Harry met up with Mr. Pamela's after he had gotten better to talk. Harry was talking about his future. Harry thinks he has nothing left to do because the factory only requires skilled labor, and clearly Harry isn't one of them. Mr. Pamela explained that there are other opportunities to get a job for Harry. You could be a builder or a road maker for engineer and mechanic to live in. After hearing Mr. Pamela's wise words, Harry was motivated to stay and learn even more. The monsoon slowly subsided and Mr. Penvelas went back to the shop to work. Harry went to help Mr. Penvelas more and more while taking time off from work at Jagu's kitchen, but Jagu didn't mind. Perhaps it was because he felt ashamed that Harry saw him arguing with his wife. After that, Harry has decided not to work at the De Silva home. Then Harry decided to go back to tour after the coconut day. When the monsoon is out, coconuts are offered to the sea and both can sail once again. Jagu convinced Harry to stay until the Jubilee. Harry celebrated the Jubilee with Mr. Pendergrass.
Good morning, teacher and everyone. I am Sakhan from Group 3, and in this task 2, Sreynin and I will cover the main message of chapter 10 and 11. We come up with two main messages. The first one will be presented by me, and Sreynin will share the second one. Main message number 1 is maturity. After reading chapter 10 and 11, we can see Harry was very mature, hardworking and responsible compared to the other city kids that live with their parents. Even though his age was very young, but he never feel like a kid. He only see himself as a responsible man. He only once feel like a kid when he was with Mr. Povsreyleap on the bus, where Mr. Povsreyleap bought him a coconut, and that making him feel like he belonged to the group of the children that brought there by their parents. However, his life was very hard, and he did not have the childhood that most of the kids have, and he missed out almost everything that he should have received at his very young age. We can see Harry left his village, he left his sister and his parents to the city alone. He had to take care of himself. Moreover, he had to earn himself a living by working in the eating house, where it was very hectic that he could not find some time to have meal. Beside from that, he had to learn to mend the watch. What made him more mature than the other kid is that he know how to spend his money carefully. He did not wastefully spend on something that most of the kids would do. Instead, he saved it up for his family. While Harry was a responsible man, most of the children, they get education, they receive love from their parents, they have nice clothes and nice shelter to live. Moreover, they don't have to worry about not having enough food to eat. So why would Harry was so mature, hardworking and responsible at his very young age? Actually, Harry, just like the other kids, he also want to have an amazing childhood like the other kids do. But the situation keep pushing him and forcing him to do so. We can see his family was very poor, that he had nothing to eat but only the dry bread. Moreover, their parents were no longer the breadwinner, since his father was drunk daily and his mother was seriously ill. Miserably than that, he had to leave his hometown alone because he did not have any land nor the skill to work in the factory. Plus, there was no one to help or guide him what to do. So the situation just keep pushing him to be a mature kid. And this is the end of the first main message, and I leave it to Sreynin to share the second one. Thank you.
Thank you, Sakhan, for your great presentation. So now I would like to present about the second main message, which is gratitude. We want to raise this point because it is very interesting how the author Anita decided deeply include the character development. From the psychological perspective, we support with a theory based on Erickson's stages of psychosocial development. We can see that Harry's character is in the fifth stage, which is identity versus role confusion. It means that when adolescents search for a sense of self and personal values, beliefs, and goals. We only focus on belief. Let's keep in mind and look at gratitude as belief. Gratitude is a feeling of appreciation towards people's kindness that can be defined into two categories. First, grateful for the help of other people who did things for you and also pleased by the result. Second, gratitude doesn't have to be a complete action that you receive from a person. Action of his or her willingness is enough to make you thankful. So, what makes character Harry develop gratitude in his life? The answer is Harry's circumstances that push him to accept the ideological differences that he never faced before in his village. Because of being alone in a big city, the sparkle of someone came to his life, giving him a helping hand, surely make him believe and accept it. In short, make him thankful for the belief of relying on others, help him grow a sense of his identity. So now I would like to pass this presentation to Lychrea, who is responsible for task 3.
Task 3. My name is a question about the study of the chapter 10 and 11 that can be related to real-life situation. The first, monsoon season. Monsoon season or rain season is dominated by the humid southwest summer monsoon, which slowly sweeps across the country, beginning in late May or early June and ending around October. India is also the same, that the season starts in June and ends in September. June marks as the beginning of the monsoon periods in Mumbai. The beginning of the month is characterized by a continuation of the summer with increased humidity. The official date for the monsoon to hit the city is 10 June. It also brings heavy rain in India because of the country is located near the equator area. This makes stronger wind than in the season. It also causes flood everywhere in the city, which makes people income and health in the poor condition. Chapter 10 of the story, monsoon starts in Mumbai on 10th of June. The seasons make people life in Mumbai harder, and it makes heavy rains everywhere and bring flood to the city as well as the storm. People must stay indoors in order to protect themselves from being sick, such as Bala, who getting sick and his condition getting worse and worse. But after that, he was cured. After the rain, there is mud everywhere that make Harry nearly splits every time while he is walking with Jagu to his home. And for fish, the weather is not good for them to go to the ocean because it is very dangerous and adventurous due to the strong winds and the huge sea wave. Some boats are getting lost in the middle of the sea. Living condition in slum area. The chapter 10, living condition in Zopapati. The houses in the area are not really good for both dry season and rainy season. Also, there is no water, so the women have to line up at the pump to fetch water and bring back home. In the reality, some country has more than one rural area that are similar to the situation in the story. In some areas, people have to walk a few kilometers to get water, and others have to line up at the well to get water home. Closeness. When someone, you will be happy to stay with them, do everything, thinking about them, you care about them, and worried about them. In chapter 11 of the story, Harriet is worried Mr. Panbala, who has gotten sick during the monsoon season, and Jagu asks Harry to stay and help him till Diwali festival. But Harry doesn't plan to stay so long, so he thinks that Jagu has been so good to him, so he continues to stay and help him until that festival. Coconut Day. The Coconut Day is a ceremonial day observed by Hindu fishing community in Maharashtra, particularly around Mumbai and the coast. September 2 has been designated Coconut Day, held on a full moon day. The ocean was worshipped with rice, flour, and coconut as offering. It is celebrated toward the end of the monsoon and marks the beginning of calmer seas and sailing. In the story, the coconut day starts after monsoon season has ended. The people have fun together with the coconut and share coconut to others. Diwali festival. Decide to stay in Mumbai and help Jagu until the festival. The festival comes after the coconut days, around October or November. During the festival, Jagu restaurant is very busy. That's why he asked Harry to stay longer to help him. Actually, the festival is celebrated in India every year, and the festival is also known as Diwali, or the Festival of Light. It is celebrated in October or November each year, which can last around 5 days. The Diwali celebration in India takes place when the monsoon season ends and the weather is mild and pleasant.
Greeting once again, my name is Sakhan Povsreyleap, and I'm responsible for the last part of our presentation, which is useful ideas that are applicable to our own situations. And there are 6 useful ideas that we will raise up. So the first one is that sometimes it is good not to involve yourself with other people's business. In chapter 10, when Jagu invited Harry to his home because Harry was sick, instead of getting a warm welcome, Harry had to listen to the argument of Jagu and Jagu's wives. And Jagu was very angry at his wife that he decided to go to Toddy's shop to drink. Harry knew that it was his fault that this happened, and he also knew that if he stayed at Jagu's house, the argument will not end. So Harry decided to go back to the restaurant and not stay at Jagu's house anymore. Second point, don't be proud of yourself and look down on others. In the earlier chapter, a watchman from the factory side looking down on Biju's new boat, saying that it was just a normal boat which cannot do much things. But later on in chapter 10, many boats of the fishermen at Toul were lost in the sea for nearly 4 days due to the monsoon. And Biju used his new boats which have the Zol engine to go and rescue the lost boat in the heavy storm, and he finally spotted them and bring them back. After the rescue, Biju saw the watchman from the factory side and said to him, "Now, do you see what a fine boat I have?" And the watchman from the factory side was very embarrassed that he hurried back to his hut. Number 3, we can't do anything we want as long as we work hard and don't give up. In chapter 11, after Harry told Mr. Pamela that there was nothing left for him to do back in the village because Harry's father had sold their fishing boat and cow already, and their family had only a small plot of land to grow vegetables in, but it is too small. And later on, a big factory will be built at Toul, and the factory will not allow Toul villagers to work for them, and there will be no fishing and farming left to do too. But Mr. Pamela said to Harry that you can't do anything as long as you're willing to learn and work hard. And Harry was very pleased with Mr. Pamela's word, and he willing to work hard. Number 4, kindness can be shown from stranger. Even though Harry didn't know Jagu much when he came to Bombay, but still Jagu given him food and shelter and even asked Harry to go to his house when Harry was sick too. Jagu was a kind-hearted man who understands Harry's feeling well, while Mr. Panvela, who also didn't know Harry, was kind enough to teach Harry to repair watch and comfort Harry whenever he saw Harry sad. Number 5, sometimes you have to find yourself for who you really are. In chapter 10, when Harry heard that Mr. Desela was back from abroad, he was still confused between going to ask for a job from Mr. Desela or stay at the restaurant. In chapter 11, after hearing an encouragement word from Mr. Pamela, Harry decided that he won't go to Mr. Desela and ask for a job anymore. He thought that he shouldn't be a boy who cared for shelter and protection. He finally found himself that he was not a city boy, and he didn't want to be one, because he knew that he should go back to Toul and make decisions on what he wanted to do in life. And the last part, which is every storm in your life is followed by a rainbow. After many hardships that Harry had endured from Toul village until he came to Bombay, Harry finally learned some good lesson that he has to be himself no matter what and has to face his responsibility. He has to work hard and not give up or run away from his problem. And that is the end of our presentation. Thank you for your attention.